Hello, and thanks for taking the time to watch this video. The tables have turned because, as you know, I have been primarily playing Mario the last few weeks and months. I've taken Mario to the last two callings, but I've been playing a little bit of Rivaled Kayo the last couple of days, and it's been a lot of fun, right? And so this time, I'm not playing Mario, but I'm playing against Mario as Rivaled Kayo. Obviously, like if you know the hero you're playing against quite well, that definitely always gives you an advantage. But this was like one of the first games, I would say, that I've played as Rivaled KO, so I wasn't 100% sure on how to navigate him. But yeah, let's take a look at how this came to play. All right, so Mario had to start here, and I have 4 blues in hand, so definitely enough option to block with. If I can avoid it, do not want to block with a Nimblism because it's obviously important for the Nimby combo, and I only play this one. So here with the Hunter's Clave, I want to block with the Nimby first because yeah, if I keep both the Nimby and the Nimblism, there's just like not an option for me to use this now. And so if I can keep 2, I definitely want to keep the flex strength for sure. So my next block target would be the overcrowded, but my opponent is already passing here. They had to pitch 2 reds. And here in my hand, well, there is the option for me to either play the show of strength or the flex strength. I definitely want to pitch the Nimby, not the Nimby, the Nimblism. But I mean, flex strength is 1 more damage, and ultimately show of strength is easier to use if I need to block on my next turn. So here I use the KO ability and push flex strength up to 9, my opponent taking 6, and I put the show of strength into Arsenal. I always put the Nimblism as my last card because it is always like a fetch target for a Nimby, right? And so as my opponent comes with a CNC or can have to pitch 2 reds, I block with the Mocking Blow and the Battered, Beaten, and Broken because it doesn't do much for me in this moment. And it's always good to have the Mocking Blow in grave if I want to use looking for a scrap. And so I use the Steel Victory to pitch into the Show of Strength, and then I'll Arsenal the Shelter from the Storm. My opponent has not yet marked me, so I was interested. It was interesting to see that they didn't flick the Hunter's Clave here on turn 0 to get this started. But yeah, let's see what they come up with. Okay, so they go for the random Mask of Deceit, and yeah, they probably should have flicked in the previous turn because then they could have chosen something, right? Now with the Arakni Funnel Web, I mean, yes, it's +3 and they threaten my arsenal, but what they don't know, it's a D-React anyway, so I can simply use it. In my hand, well, again, the Battered, Beaten, and Broken does not do much, but it could be a good arsenal target to set up. I ideally want to play the Steel Victory, and I also have to take it on the chin to prevent some more damage. And so because my opponent deliberately chose to keep the hand and use the mask in order to go into an agent, I'm incentivized to use Scowling Flashback here. I mean, I'm 12 life ahead, but I definitely want to stay ahead in life total. And so here, using this to kind of like deny the Hunter's Clave to mark me feels like a good choice. And now, because of the flick, I can use the Take It on the Chin to also prevent that. I felt it was kind of obvious that my opponent wanted to mark me, and now they don't have the option, right? They've used the dagger, I blocked that, they don't seem to have a pump, and now they flicked the other one, so no option for them to mark me. So they now send only a Leave No Witnesses. I mean, I can block that now for 4. They can still use the Funnel Web, of course, to go up to 7, deal 3 damage, banish a card from top of my deck. But it feels like I've been able to really IP Mario here. They do not use this, so yeah, fine by me. I can use the Claw first, pitch the Steel Victory, then use the Tunic resource to come in for Command and Conquer. So 9 points of damage, threatening the arsenal. They are down 2 armor block, so they need to give me either like 2 cards from hand, or they need to forfeit their arsenal and go down to 19 or at least 22, depending on how they block. So they do give me 2 cards, another Command and Conquer, and the Stains of the Red back. Seems like they're really red flooded, right? I've seen a lot of red attacks either pitched or blocked. So Battered, Beaten, and Broken into Arsenal. And yeah, so my next hand, I can certainly block for like at least 6 with either like the Command and Conquer and the Show of Strength most likely, because they don't seem to like wanting to keep an Arsenal. Here, because it's very clear what they want to do, right? They now want to flick the Hunter's Glaive, hit me for 9 to draw a card. But I'm thinking, okay, no, I'll block this out. So I used Command and Conquer, Apex Thronebreaker to get Might, and also the Scabskin Others. Obviously, Piercing applies, and I'm using a lot of armor block, but they are drawing no card. They can still flick the Hunter's Glaive to mark me, which probably is good, and they're doing this here. But I'm coming back with 9 damage with the Flex Strengths and the Swing Big. And they haven't drawn a count, which is great. But now, obviously, they transform naturally for the first time into Orbweaver, which is great as they don't have a Shilisera yet. But here, they already need to decide what they want to do with the 9 damage coming their way. And they're already down by 14 points of life. All right, so they're down to 16, which is good for me. And, well, my hand is good, right? So if I don't need to block, I could go E-Strike, bottoming the, putting the Shelter to bottom, and then go Big Bully for 8, so 5 into 8. But I could also, use the E-Strike and the Shelter maybe to block for 7. What my opponent did is they discarded a Kiss of Death, which is interesting as it's one of the power cards, to the Orbweaver to get a Shilisera. I mean, it's good value because obviously they don't need to block this, not to pitch for this, sorry. And they've played the Saber Blusher. So this time around, it's more difficult for me to actually block this out. And because they're still keeping 2 cards and they can draw from this, I'm thinking I'm better off waiting what happens next. Because technically, yes, there is an on-hit with the card draw, but it's not an on-hit that is threatening my hand or my arsenal. And for example, if there's another CNC coming after, that is definitely something I would like to block out with at least 2 cards from my hand to not lose the Battered, Beaten, and Broken. And so here they draw a card, I get 8 damage, but I'm also not marked anymore. And now they have 3 cards to choose from. So they come in for 2 with the Hunter's Glaive. I'm okay, they can mark me. I don't mind in this stage of the game right now. And with the cards that I have. I mean, I could have used the Shelter, discarded it to avoid that damage. But here, okay, interesting. They pay a Codex of Bloodrot, so they have now a Codex of Frailty that they've put. So they're coming in with a Leave No Witnesses most likely, and so I can cleanly block that with Shelter from the Storm. And this definitely changes my hand a little bit, because what I want to do in order to maximize the value in my hand is, first of all, not IPing myself. And with using the Shelter, with Big Bully, Booze, and E-Strike, that's what I would do if I would, for example, play the Big Bully, right? And so what I'm going to do instead is use the E-Strike and put the Big Bully on bottom of the deck, and then using the Booze to, remove the Bloodrot Pox token. And E-Strike will come in for 7, and with the 2 damage that I'm avoiding with the Bloodrot, it's 9 value basically that I can remove. And here I was checking if Battered, Beaten, and Broken is almost live. And yes, technically it's almost live because Frailty and Bloodrot Pox actually count as tokens here. So I could have almost used it, but missing 1 aura token. And at the same time, it will be tough to play this with a hand that I'm having in terms of resources. And so just getting 7 damage in and avoiding 2 damage with a life lead of 14 is what I want to do here. And so here I go, E-Strike for 7. If they don't block this, they would already go down to 9 life. After quite some thinking, my opponent decided to not block this. So they go down to 9. Now I can use the Booze to pitch into the Bloodrot Pox token to stay ahead 21 life right now. So here, pitching, not taking damage. And finally, I see the Cruel Ambition. So Battered, Beaten, and Broken in my hand is live. And the good thing is, I can do this with 1 blue because my Tunic counter is up. So in theory, I can block with both the Booze and a Nimby. Yes, it's only 5 block, so I want to keep this for Disruption. Because damage, I don't really care right now because I'm up ahead so much live. But what obviously would be tough if they come in with a CNC to threaten my Battered, Beaten, and Broken in Arsenal, or want to do like hand disruption. But everything that's just damage, I think I'm fine taking for now. Here obviously you're thinking, okay, does it make sense to block the pain in the backside with the Booze? But yeah, them hitting me with a Hunter's Clave, obviously it opens up a few more lines for them. But at the end, right now, it's just damage until they play something different. So taking the 3, letting them allow to choose a Decker. Yes, of course, they choose the Hunter's Clave. They're marking me. Now comes an up, Sticks and Run, so next Dagger +5. And they're coming with another Hunter's Clave. So again, it's 5 damage. And yeah, I'm taking that. Because even if I need to keep my hand, I could still play the Booze to get like a Vigor for next turn. I could put the Nimby into Arsenal. So if it's just damage that they're after right now and no disruption, I'm fine with that. Like, yes, it removes my life lead cushion, but we're here to close out the game soon, right? And here, it was definitely a good choice to kind of keep the hand for disruption, because now comes a Leave No Witnesses, and now I can use the Booze as well as the Scabskin Leathers or Nimby and the 2 equipment pieces to block 4/4 and to still keep a card for Arsenal for after the turn. Now obviously they have a Ponder, right? So they can put something into their arsenal. But first of all, I'm threatening 9 damage. I have 3 mites for the turn after. And I ideally get to destroy the card that we're banishing with playing the Battered, Beaten, and Broken. Hopefully we'll hit something good. So now, obviously, time for our opponent to think about it. So they definitely need to give me 1 card, right? Because otherwise they would be dead, right? I can push this to 9, they have 9 life. So yeah, interesting to see what they give me. I doubt that they block this out, so most likely we'll get 2 cards, the one that is banished, as well as at least 1 card to block for them not dying. And then I think I have all the tempo again. So here, Tunic Resource, they block with a Persuasive Prognosis, pitch the Booze, because Nimby in Arsenal is quite a good target. So coming in for 8. Oh yes, because of the Frailty, of course. And not 9. Cool. So actually they could have survived on 1 life if they wouldn't have blocked. But yeah, this makes sense. All right, so they have 3 cards. They are Orb Weaver again. They do have a Chelicera, so yeah, I mean, they could technically discard a card for Orb Weaver. Don't need to come in with Pain in the backside. I mean, I have multiple options, right? I have the Nimby, which is technically a 2-card play because I need 1 more resource. So definitely, well, not definitely, but probably don't want to do this. And with the hand that I have, I can quite easily close this out. I can go E-Strike for 5 go again, and then use the other blue to pitch into Swing Big. I could also then play the Nimby for 6. And of course, my first attack has the 3 mites coming in. And so here they come in for 1 with a Graphene Chelicera. Okay, so they deal 1 damage. And now they come in with the Mark of the Black Widow for 3. I'm not marked yet, so no threat of banishing a card, but I definitely want to avoid that. So here, using the Tunic. Now they can flick if they want. It goes up to 4. It doesn't even go up to 4 because, they are not in base form, so it stays on 3, but I'm marked. And so here they are using the starting point because they flicked the Glaive. It's obviously not dealing damage here, but needed the discard or the reaction in order to activate Slimer. They could have also used the Tunic. And now coming in for Leave No Witnesses for 4. Yeah, and so this changes my plan, or could change my plan a little bit. Like I could let this hit and then come in for E-Strike for 10, for example, putting either the Rotten Remains or the Escalate Violence into Arsenal. Or I could also say, hey, I block with, I don't know, E-Strike and Rotten Remains, or like at least like 2 cards. But no, I'm missing a resource, but I get the Nimblism. Yeah, so I could block with 2 cards and then still come in with the Nimby for 9. And so here I give my opponent 2 cards. I stay marked, which is okay, but they need to block 9 on the next turn. Okay, so here comes the Nimby, gives me the Nimblism already coming in for 4. So they block for 5s. If they don't have a D-React anymore, they are dead. They were not respecting the ability from RKO. And yeah, that's it. Quick game, fun game. So it's actually fun playing against Mario with RKO. It feels like you have a lot of leverage. So let me think, was there anything that you would have done differently in the comments? And please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.